It says it's on my end, Tom Robinson.
Yep.
We ready
should be.
then?
Let's just make sure. I'm waiting to see it come on.
Let's unmute Tom while we're there.
Here we go.
He's muted.
He is muted. Okay.
Can you,
Is
can
that
you,
better?
yes,
There we go. Hooray.
Boy, I tell you, I'm sorry. I've got some big problem right here, and I tried to unplug from one of the screens, and I thought that would do it. And of course, now I just lost, and I can't even restart my computer.
Don't do anything. You're there right now.
Okay.
Tom, are we okay now?
Yes, we are. We are
Okay,
live
so-
streaming.
So welcome, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order. It's live. Beth?
Allworder,
Here.
Frankel,
Here.
Reynolds,
here,
Turner,
here,
Welsh,
Here.
Whitney.
here,
Can somebody make a motion to excuse Nancy Sogg?
So move.
Second.
Allworder? Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
yes,
yes, Welsh,
Yes.
Whitney.
yes,
Okay, so we're here to do our last bit of 2020's agenda for insurance. Anne, do you want to?
Sure. I'd like to introduce ordinance 2020-55, which is an ordinance authorizing a contract with Wickard Insurance Services, Inc. to furnish and provide liability and property insurance coverages for the village of Gates Mills, its officials and employees in declaring an emergency.
I'll
So,
second.
I'd like to suspend since we need to get this done.
I'll second.
Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
yes,
Turner,
yes,
Welsh,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes. And if there.
I have a question. I
Yeah.
have a question. So, Tom, I guess I get confused as I read the press, and maybe it's auto coverage, but with COVID and so many people quarantining and staying safe, I thought that insurance was down this year as far as claims paid. And I thought that, and yet we're looking at an increase. Give me a better flavor of what, I know you went out for competitive bids, but just overview. Am I mistaken that that insurance had a pretty good year as far as claims?
Well, what I said in my original, and again, I'm trying to get my other computer back up here, so hopefully you can hear me okay with what I'm doing here on my phone.
We can, just fine.
Okay, good. In general, the auto, your question about auto may have been true back in the beginning months, and then different insurance companies gave different credits and things of that nature. As we are approaching the end of the year, in fact, since we last met a few weeks ago online like this, and of course, this is a renewal being done here yet in this year, obviously. But we are looking at increases into next year, particularly in the property insurance area and things like that for larger risks. Not you know, I mean, obviously, Gates Mills is a sophisticated, important, relatively large entity, but yet I want to talk about larger cities or larger businesses. We will be looking at rate increases in the 30 to 40% range for risks into next year.
Wow.
And a lot of this is being driven by the reinsurance markets. As I said in my cover letter, I think, and I don't have it in front of me to read, we've been trying to take this standard approach of sort of wait and see on a lot of these things, but COVID is causing claims across the world that are being denied here in the States because our coverage forms do have exclusions for viruses and things of that nature. Now, that doesn't really directly affect you as the village, but yet businesses, restaurants that have not been able to collect under business interruption coverage in the States are making those claims around the world. The liability side, and again, it's hard to generalize what's happening. We all know, or I think you maybe get a sense that law enforcement liability is going to be in for trouble in the coming time period. This renewal did not go up in the law enforcement area. And again, you have a small police department, but you do have a police department, and it's still a relatively small dollar amount. And so the answer is and your auto is not really up that much. It is up because of new vehicles are always more expensive than old ones and all that. I'm trying to get my my numbers back up here. I'm doing it by my memory. But the answer is we are in a hard market as such for some classes of business, more so than we were at this time last year.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful.
Tom, I had another question, and I appreciate the summary table that you did comparing the different carriers, and the one that seemed a little outstanding to me was the umbrella coverage for 2021 Selective, including police and Hudson Law. So I mean, all of them are up. So why is that? The only one that's down is Travelers.
Same general idea. Well, now that's somewhat the danger of looking at the various line items there. And again, as we told Janet, that we would go to market on this and try to get to make sure that we were, well, again, we're in the market all the time. Travelers they're one of our largest companies, certainly with Selective also. What concerned me, as I mentioned to you a few weeks ago, what concerned me is that Travelers, and again, I've got to be careful how I say this because we do a lot of business with them, but when I look at Travelers being so cheap or inexpensive, let's use that word, inexpensive, on the property, the general liability, the auto, and the umbrella, those top four items, those are the ones where we would expect to have claims over the years, and we have had claims occasionally. I mean, more years than that. Gates Mills has had an excellent track record. The last few years have had some issues. That is where we expect to see Travelers come back with large increases.
Okay.
The Selective has been consistent, as Janet can attest there. I guess we've had Selective probably on the Village since maybe 2008. 2007 or so, and those prices have stayed very consistently. You have added 3 new vehicles. Again, you deleted 3, added 3. Every new vehicle is more expensive than the last. So the auto actually, the auto stayed pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And the umbrella is a function of the underlying premiums. So when the law went up a bit and the public officials went up a bit, that percentage wise goes up. That is where we're seeing hardening also in the market for the umbrella. And again, so I get very, very concerned when I see Travelers then so expensive on the law enforcement and the public officials. That's the area where we just had the public officials employment practices is where we just had the latest claim. That's what got us in the spot here this year of having to move from Hudson. And when I see Travelers starting out at that number, I get very concerned about the future. And again, we're always always concerned about the long run. That's why my recommendation is to pretty much stay where we are with Selective, substituting the public officials with Selective in that case.
Thank you.
Any
I had
other questions?
One other question on page. I had another question. On
Okay.
page 6, that there's an exclusion there, general liability, and the 4th exclusion is injury to volunteer firemen. Is that, have we always had that, or is that new, or how are volunteer firemen? I mean, would they be covered like under PERS or?
They would be under your workers' compensation. They'd be under your workers' compensation.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. So
I
they're
have,
covered.
I have one question as well, and more, I guess, general question, although it may apply in this circumstance. In the air insurance market, you will often see one competitor for a year or two, sometimes 3, with significantly lower rates than the competition, essentially buying business. And that'll go on for a little while and until they feel uncomfortable with respect to their reserves, and then they'll yank up prices again. Is the property and casualty market subject to that kind of behavior? And if so, are we going to see, for example, Selective maybe take a look at Travelers in a year or two and say, well, we're moving things up?
I guess I'd answer that question very specifically in that we've been using Selective on our public entities, and Wickert insures, we insure over 100 municipalities around the state. Selective is our largest carrier. Travelers is right behind, perhaps. Travelers is the largest carrier nationally. Okay, and we call them a national carrier in that sense, where we call a Selective more of a regional carrier. At the same time, we go to the law enforcement. Your law enforcement and public officials had been with Nationwide, Scottsdale subsidiary, for years and years. Scottsdale pulled out of the market a few years ago because of the trouble broiling in law enforcement. They felt they couldn't get the rates. Hudson then has been taking that place over. In generalities, we would look at Travelers as being more of a market player, meaning going up and down. Again, I got to be careful as I say that, because again, we rely on them quite a bit. At the same time, Janet will, I think, agree that Selective has been very consistent on pricing. I see her nodding her head. Very consistent on pricing. And again, we do have local claims adjusters. Again, Travelers does a nice job too. I mean, and when we knew we had some trouble on this claim that was going to cause some problem, that's why we went to Travelers on this. I would say almost all of our Travelers accounts are significantly larger than Gates Mills, meaning 6-figure premiums and all. Again, I get very concerned about that price up there. And this is what I was hoping we would have had this put together a few weeks ago when we had our meeting. This came out exactly as I expected we were going to do. And of course, if you remember, you had debated about giving me, leeway, which is fine with what we're doing here right now. But this is what I expected. We couldn't quite make the communications with the people that are all working from home and all. But your observation of the industry is spot on. And again, we're seeing some wild things for January 1 in other classes of business. When I say wild things, I mean big price increases, big changes, and things like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Apparently he has a question now.
Any other questions?
Not a question. I had one comment on the body of the ordinance. It talks about providing coverage for the year 2020. I believe that should be 2021.
Oh,
Well, Larry, why didn't you notice that last time?
Should I hit it right now?
Got it. I'll change it.
Thank you.
Any other?
eagle eye, Larry, that was good. Good catch.
That was good.
If there are no further questions, I move to adopt ordinance 2020-55.
Second.
Motion seconded by Welch. Allworder,
Yes.
What?
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes.
Amen.
Okay, next is ordinance 2020-56, Ann.
I'd like to introduce 2020-56, an ordinance to amend the annual appropriation ordinance number 2022 to increase certain appropriations and other expenditures of the Village of Gates Mills Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. And because this is housekeeping, I would like to suspend the rule.
Second.
Motion seconded by Welsh. Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes, and I move to adopt ordinance 2020-56.
Second.
Motion seconded by Welsh. Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tom and Janie, for joining us today for our questions. Happy
Yes,
New
hi,
Year.
by the way, I'm Janie. I'm sorry I was late. I overcommitted this morning and said I'd watch my 4 and 5-year-old nephews, and they're running laps upstairs.
That's okay. Tom handled it. It was nice to see you anyway. Usually we don't see you or your name's on paper. So
Well, thanks.
we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Well,
you,
we
everyone.
always enjoy seeing, we like to see Janet as much as we can, and we usually do. So we're going to hopefully catch up this year.
Yes, we hope
Yeah.
for a better year that we'll be
Yes.
able to get out and actually see each other.
Yeah.
Amen.
Hey,
Happy
Chip,
New Year,
I
everybody.
haven't seen you in person, Chip, in quite some time, but I have to say that you look much better today on Zoom than you have in recent times. I hope you and Janet are feeling much better.
Oh, yeah, we're fully recovered, we believe. So
Yeah, that's tremendous. It's great to hear.
Good.
unlike our good friend who's in the hospital after 5 weeks, but
Wow.
it's a squirrely thing, guys. Don't
Yeah.
think you're done with
Yeah.
it till you're done with it. So
All good. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you all for keeping us in the loop and trusting us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Happy New Year.
We need a
Bye.
motion to adjourn, right, Beth?
Oh,
Almost.
Yeah.
And there were
Second.
any.
All right, Sandra and Chip.
Yay.
All right.
Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
wait, I think there's a question, Tom, Fire Chief Tom has a.
Oh.
There we go. Trying to get a word in edgewise. As far as, were there any questions from the YouTube? No, I was the only one watching, so there weren't any questions.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Turner,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Same
Thank
to you.
Happy New
Thank
Year.
you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye.